Hey everybody, this is Justin Flinner back with you again for week 2 of our weekly podcast in 2018. This year, we started off with the month of January having the topic of building a strong foundation. And last week, our focus on the podcast was on creating fail-proof goals. We told you a couple tricks on how to do that for the year 2018. So I hope you all have some kind of goal for yourself to start this new year. And today we're going to take it a step further. So one thing I want to focus on is the questions and comments that people usually give me. And they ask basically from a position of doubt or hesitation. They want to know, what am I supposed to do? I'm not really sure what to do or how to get started with my goals this year. I'm not really sure where I should begin. And later on, once they get started, maybe they build a little bit of momentum, then they start to doubt themselves and they say, well, you know what? I'm not sure if I have what it takes. Okay? Then it sets in. That's step 1 for that downward spiral. Or maybe they have doubts by them comparing themselves to somebody else. Maybe they'll say, for example, well, I'm not like them. They have what it takes. And, my life is busy. I got so many things going on. So maybe I just won't be able to make it this time. But I'm going to try. Okay. Not very optimistic, if you ask me. So another question I usually get is, how can I possibly stay on track? I got so many things going on in my life. Yes, we're all busy. And some people more than others. But you know what? How can I possibly stay on track? There are things that are going to come up and going to knock me off track a little bit. Maybe I'll have to take a day or two off because of one thing or another. But these questions of doubt or hesitation really keep you from achieving your goals, and they pull you away from the foundation, which is what we're focusing on this month. And you know what? I really view this as a form of self-sabotage, because in order to achieve your goals, you have to be first confident in what it is that you want to achieve. You have to understand why. As we talked about last week, we talked about who, what, when, where, why, and how. So if you haven't listened to week 1's podcast of tricks on developing fail-proof goals for 2018, then check that out after you listen to this one. Or maybe stop now and go back to last week's, listen to that, and then come back to this one and start where you're leaving off. So I believe that one of the best ways to achieve success in really anything in life, but especially in something that you have little or no experience in, or maybe even little to no success with, is to model someone who has experience or who has been successful in what it is that you want to achieve. So it doesn't necessarily mean your neighbor or the person that you go to work with or you see on a regular basis that maybe lost 20 pounds, so now you want to lose 20 pounds. So I stick with the weight loss one because it's the easiest one to understand and reflect upon. So when it comes to achieving your goals, if you're not really sure where to start, but you do want to start and you're motivated, what you should do is search for someone that you know has achieved that particular goal. And if you're not sure, look online, find someone that's got a pretty substantial reputation, has some information out there on what it is that they have done. Take that information, watch those videos, read those articles, check out whatever it is that they offer online. Maybe they have an entire website or series or even a book. Get as much information from all of that as you can, and then build your own path based on that. Mimic it, imitate it, exactly, step by step. Get started in that way. Now, along the way, you are going to come into some situations where, this doesn't really match what I want to do, or I don't really resonate with that, so why do I want to do that? And this is the part where, you can either bite the bullet and say, let me give it a shot, because that conversation that you're having with yourself could be like the conversation that kids have saying, well, I don't like peas. Well, have you tried them before? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, if you haven't tried them, how do you know you're not going to like them? Okay, so give it a shot. But if you know that it's not something that really resonates with you, then put that one aside and try to fill in that gap, fill in that blank. Okay, we don't want any gaps. We want to stick with what it is that we're doing. We want to keep on track, on path. So find the ways that work for you. Adapt it. Base your beginnings off of somebody else's endings. Well, not necessarily their endings, but how they went through the pathway to get to that particular ending. So at least you have a trajectory that is based on success. that is proven by somebody else to have worked for their life. Okay? Now, as you adapt things along the way, you will eventually discover the things that work best for you. So maybe yoga isn't your thing, for example. Maybe that's part of the workout that person wanted. But maybe you decide you want to do some Tai Chi. Maybe you want to do martial arts. Maybe you want to do meditation. Or maybe you don't want to do anything relaxing at all. Maybe you want to do something really active. So you decide to get yourself involved in a sport. Or maybe you head outside for running or exercising of some sort. Whatever it might be. Discover what it is that works for you. And then, at this point, you begin to sculpt that pathway that somebody else used for success, and you transform it into your own. How does this work? How do you know if those switches, those adaptations are actually going to work for you? All I can say is it's trial and error. It's kind of like the peas conversation. You don't know until you try them. If you don't like them, then you don't have to eat them again. They are good for you, though. So some of those things out there that you don't like to do, you should probably add a few of those into whatever it is that's along your pathway to achieving your goals. Okay, so if it is, in fact, exercise related, find a form of exercise that you're not that great at and try to allow yourself the opportunity to improve upon that. Okay. However, trial and error is one of the best ways that you can achieve your goals and figure out what it is a successful pathway to achieving your own. So adapt to them. Look for trial and error, all based on modeling somebody else's success. Okay? So down the road, you'll be able to figure out what works best for you, what doesn't work that well for you, and then you will have this design that you can then apply to any other goal that you wish. Okay, taking away some of the concepts. Of course, if your other goals that you have, maybe they're business related, maybe they are family related. But if you take the basic concepts, doesn't matter what the topic is of your goal or what the main focus is, you can take those basic understandings and apply them in the same manner. So model. Look for somebody else's form and pathway that they took to get to that successful ending. And then use that to get yourself started. Because if you're not really sure where to start, you might as well just follow in somebody else's footsteps until yours don't fit in theirs or your steps get longer. Whatever it might be, you decide to take a different path. Okay? This is some great advice that I got a long time ago. Used it, worked really well for me, especially to this day. I still use it. If I'm working on something new, especially at my clinic or personally in my family life or when it comes to my own health, whatever it might be, whatever goal that I have, if I know it's a new type of goal and I know it's something that I need to work on, I will find someone out there, someone who has done really well with it, and I will, if I know them or if I can reach them, I'll actually reach out to them and say, hey, could you give me a little advice? Tell me a little bit about how you got from point A to point B. What is it do you think, based off of how you know me, and what is it that you think that I could do? Because I'm having a little trouble designing that right now. So there's a level of humility that it comes to. Don't stick your head out and say, well, I could do this. I don't care what anybody else does. I'm just going to develop my own way. Okay, then you end up falling flat on your face. I don't want to see that happen to you, and I'm sure that you don't want to see that happen to yourself. So take a few steps back. Figure out who it is that has actually achieved this kind of a goal. Look at how they did it exactly. Redesign it for yourself as you go through their own steps. And then you will have your own story of success. And then, you know what? Who knows? Maybe in the future, someone else who's starting with a similar goal will come to you and say, how did you do it? That's it for this week. Model yourself. Model your goals off of somebody else's. Okay? That's a good place to start if you're not sure where to be. I'll catch you guys next week. This is week 2 of our weekly podcast from My Metro Medicine, the Justin Flinner podcast. Check with you guys next week. Adios.